Hey everyone, it's LS, and this is the patch 8.24 notes rundown. And I'm going to mention that I was warned beforehand that this is most likely going to be a light patch, as apparently 8.24b is supposed to be a light patch as well, so not expecting any gigantic changes. I am curious if some of the PvE changes ended up going through. I saw some champions were changed, but we're just going to get right into it. Nico drops on, she will appear sometime in patch 8.24. I already talked about Nico. Chromos look really pretty. The skin's actually really quite nice. The issue is that if the numbers are not imbalanced, then Nico's not going to likely be viable. Actually, I think maybe her numbers are actually up right now. Hold on. Maybe they're up. Let me take a look. It's going to drag this onto the screen. Scuffed, by the way. Alright, so this is scuffed. I don't know what that is, but okay. So I have advertisements everywhere on my screen right now. Thought YouTube ads were bad. Nico is offered static cooldown 25 to 10. So the real levels where this matters is going to be 4 and then again 7. Everything after that is just sort of luxury because you're not using it off cooldown. Damaging or taking... Okay. Blooming Burst, 7 seconds flat. Scales by 45, 50% AP. If the burst kills... Oh, okay, and then it explodes again. So I guess it goes up to 70% AP, but the real important thing is, can you do this with camps? 50 mana, if you end up skilling it first, it goes up to 70 mana. Static cooldown of 7. Okay. Shapeshifter, Nico resonates with spiritual energy. Every third basic attack, dealing bonus magic damage and granting her bonus movement speed for 1 second. 60% AP ratio on a 3-hit passive. What's her range? Oh, okay. 340 MS. Wow. That's actually quite insane. Active Nico becomes invisible for 0.5 seconds, sending a temporary clone of her current form, spiriting energy. Okay, both Nico and the clone gain movement speed. 40% bonus, 20% bonus. Wow. Okay, for 2 seconds. And she gets it on the auto attack, so that's sort of like Echo. What are her 103? It's not good for Iceborne Gauntlet. Okay. Tangle Barbs. Not the best scaling. 40%. Empowered Root Duration. Sort of luxury. 0.5 seconds is not a very long time. Is that as much as Rost? Shields herself. She gets 50% of her AP, so let's say that we're giving her a fair amount, so she gets about 150 plus 110, so she gets a 260 HP shield. That's not gigantic, but I guess it's reasonable. Cooldown is 90 seconds. She has reasonable cooldowns. Her cooldown, like, this is fine. The Shape Splitter, the passive's all that you really care about. She has pretty good cooldowns if you end up capping out her CDR. Damage 650. Oh, okay. Is that so? Okay. Yeah. Alright. Okay, that's cool. Like, what? So it's sort of like Vigar. Increase empowered duration 3 seconds. That's quite... that's quite nice, I guess, the 3-second one. Yeah, I think her numbers are here. Her numbers are here. This is all fine. Her numbers are definitely here. She'll be fine. Alright, moving back on to the patch rundown now. Aatrox. Aatrox, Q no longer deals bonus damage to monsters. So this doesn't actually matter. It doesn't affect his clear, I believe, because I think that he ends up over-clearing the camps anyway, if we're talking about Aftershock Aatrox jungle. And if we're talking about mid Aatrox with Smite, I actually don't know how that interacts with his level 1 clear. And obviously that's going to be a little bit more important for mid Aatrox with Smite because of another change that happens inside of this patch with spawning of the camps. So as for our buddy Aatrox here, I don't think this actually really affects anything, so don't worry about that if you're playing Aatrox. Akali, W duration decreased. Twilight Shroud 5 to 7 second scaling to 4 to 6 second scaling. Max duration extension 3 seconds, 2 seconds. Great, she wasn't touched. Camille attack speed decreased 0.644 to 0.625. This is a nerf to top Camille, more so than it is likely going to be to jungle Camille. The only time where attack speed is going to matter, I guess, that much is when you're clearing something like Gromp, blue, or red. Maybe this ends up requiring her to have one more auto attack or something, but as long as you're cutting the camp and actually being a sentient being, this doesn't cause too many problems, so that's all fine. Galio, I don't believe I heard anything about this. Q cost decreased, wind blast damage increased, tornado flat damage removed, but max health damage increased. Okay, E is faster but deals less damage to non-champions. Are no longer... Oh, that's actually really cute. Are no longer grants damage reduction or longer knockup versus enemies in the center. Okay. Galio has consistently seen greater results in coordinated play than anywhere else. Due to, in large part to his ult. We're taking out the team-reliant strengths of Hero's Entrance plus some wave clear off Justice Punch and adding strength back into the Brawler, okay? Winds of War, 70 to 130 mana, 270 to 90. That is very noticeable. And the thing that you want to look for here, again, is you want to look at the rank 3, because that's the level 5. That's the most important. You want to look at rank 2 and rank 3, because that's the laning phase. Everything after that tends not to matter too much. I do think, though, that 40 mana off rank 5 can actually maybe be felt in late game stall situations. So I guess that is important to note. But the 85 and the 115 thing, I think, is, for the most part, going to be irrelevant. It is quite nice that he gets a free Q now every 5 Qs. Wind Blast damage 50 to 170 scaling plus 0.8 ability power to 70 to 230 plus 0.9 ability power. But it no longer deals 30 to 70 scaling, 0.6 ability power. Max health tornado 0 plus 3% per 100 plus, okay, to 6% plus 4% per 100 ability power targets max health. Riot Freak does patch rundowns where you can check out all the cool numbers and find out exactly what this means for Galio's builds and stuff. NA math, by the way. Justice Punch, dash speed 1900 to 2300. Oh, to 6 plus 4%. Okay, so okay. Yeah, 6 plus 4%. Okay. Aim too high. Now deals 50% reduced damage to non-champions. Dash speed 1900 to 2300. Wind up before it forward dash 0.45 seconds, 0.4. Okay, that's not as big as I thought it was going to be. Target ally no longer gains 20, 25%, 30%, plus 8% of Galio's bonus magic resist damage reduction. So the thing here is that for the team compositions that are using like Galio Camille, Galio Jarvan, the offensive Galio carry team compositions, these changes don't impact him. For the defensive Galio team compositions, where you're trying to protect a primary carry, most notably your AD, maybe you're using Galio's ultimate as a form of anti-engage against maybe a dive-heavy team composition, etc., that's going to be the team comp that's affected by this. So I think that ultimately what this ends up doing is it means that he has to be picked more intelligently inside of competitive. This is going to be a buff for solo queue in most cases. And aggro Galio is going to be noticeably better, most likely, I'm assuming. Heimerdinger, slight buff. Okay, bug fixes. Wait, what? Actually scales. Okay. Oh, upgrade. W. Hextech Rocket Swarm. 499, 687, or 499 to 862 plus 1.83 ability power. Okay. Missile, damn it. Oh, E cooldown decreased early, R cooldown decreased late, E test of spirit, 20 to 12 seconds, 16 to 12 seconds. So the most noticeable thing here is that I think Akali used, or Alawi used to max E. So the first thing that you're going to notice now is that 16 versus 14 if you keep maxing E, which ultimately now means that you don't need to max it, because you're going to get the rank 3 E now at rank 1. What this ends up allowing Alawi to do is it allows her to max Q. She's going to have a better time faring off against ranged champions. Smite Alawi mid definitely gets a massive buff from this compared to top because of the matchups against ranged mages inside of the mid lane and whatnot. Our Leap of Faith, 120 seconds to 90 seconds scaling, 120 to 70 seconds. Alawi often caps the CDR anyway. So when you end up capping the CDR and you're split pushing as Alawi, you're going to die with your ultimate, you respawn, and then you walk back to where you need to be, and your ultimate is pretty much up again. So this is basically a placebo buff, and then this is also most likely always going to be a placebo. So I would have liked if they lowered Leap of Faith down to 100 seconds at rank 1, and then maybe adjusted this like 190, 80, I think it would actually just be a lot better than what they currently have right now. Aurelia, W cooldown increased, early damage reduction reduced, no longer grants passive stacks on casts. W Defiant Dance 16 to 12 second scaling to 20 to 12 second scaling. Damage reduction 50% to 40%. Casting Defiant Dance no longer grants a stack of Ionian Fervor. Stacks granted. Okay, so this interacts with some of her combos a little bit more. I do think that Aurelia is a champion that we did not get to see. I mean, we saw quite a lot of her, and during Worlds, I just really wish that we got a lot more time with her. And I am a firm believer that Aurelia is one of the champions where indirect, she can get hit indirectly very easily. If other champions just happen to get buffed, she suddenly becomes a lot worse. For instance, imagine a world where Aurelia is in mid lane and Lissandra gets buffed, and Viktor is actually useful. And he ends up getting buffs instead of just constantly getting nerfed. Or imagine, I guess, like a Malzahar that can get out of laning phase in competitive. That's going to end up being a problem for Aurelia. There's so many or Renekton in mid lane. Like, there's a lot of answers to her, especially in competitive, that I just wish that we would have gotten to see more time before they started hitting her with nerfs, because I think it's really sad. Jax are on hit base damage reduced late, okay? 100 to 220 to 100 to 180. Okay, so it doesn't affect the early game at all, and then rank 2, it's not really going to be that noticeable. I mean, the late game one is definitely going to be the most noticeable inside of the duels. The fortunate thing, though, is that the split push, the main focus is on the split push, and when you're trying to ramp up and hit that late game scaling. So as long as you're still piloting Jax right and picking him in situations that you want to pick him, you're not really going to feel these changes. Because Jax doesn't really lose to anyone late game as it is anyway. So losing the 40 damage at a rank 3 ultimate at level 16, I mean, the enemy probably has bigger problems on their hands. Leblanc, W cooldown increased early, 14 to 10 seconds to 18 to 10 seconds. So the thing here, again, is look at the rank 3. This is the level 5. You are not casting W off cooldown immediately in lane. I mean, I guess there's some lane matchups where if opponents take really bad trades at level 1 and 2, maybe you're looking to cast it off cooldown every single time, but realistically, you're not going to cast it off cooldown. So the two most important ones to look at are 16 and 14 seconds compared to 13 and 12 seconds. So ultimately, LeBlanc is not really going to feel this change. She could end up feeling it here at 12, and I mean, that's the only one that I could see impacting solo queue LeBlanc and competitive LeBlanc on roams and like tricky maneuvers and stuff until she ends up just getting the max rank in it and having it be back to normal. So I think this is actually a pretty fair balance change to her. I do not think that it actually knocks her out of her laning phase potency. I do think that it adequately attacks her early into mid-game transition. Viktor, Q base damage decreased, cooldown increased, E ratio increased, cooldown decreased. Cooldown 8 to 4 seconds scaling to 9 to 5 seconds scaling. Missile damage 60 to 140 to 50 to 110. I think that's way too big of a loss. And the reason that I say that it's way too big is because, again, look at the rank 3 and look at the rank 2 because it's Viktor. Suddenly, you start losing out on 100 damage just before even a recall. I mean, you're actually starting to talk about numbers like 150 to 200, depending on what matchup Viktor is in. The increased cooldown is problematic for the Kleptomancy. Death Ray cooldown 13 to 9 seconds to 12 to 8 seconds, which is really nice for AP Viktor. Ability power ratio is 0.5, ability power to 0.6, ability power aftershock ratio unchanged. So the issue that with Viktor that I've talked about many times is that you need 400 AP before AP Viktor starts getting buffed. The problem is that that's extremely unrealistic, and in mid lane, with all the changes that they did to him to hit top lane, he can't make it to those parts of mid lane. So it's very, very difficult to actually wake up into AP Viktor and get to that 400 AP threshold, and then actually start being a carry. But then even when you get there, you start asking yourself, why am I not Zoe? Why am I not LeBlanc? Why am I not hell, even like a Azir probably at that point. There's just so many other champions that are going to offer more without causing your team such a handicap. So one of the things that I suggested was to make his cooldowns scale with AP percentage or something like that. But Viktor is definitely going to be a tricky one to balance because it seems like Riot is very intent on not allowing him to return to his former glory. Skill shot targeting with flash. Skill shot fires towards target position. Okay, updated several skill shot targeting interactions when flash is used mid-cast. Okay, cool. Clone debuff, visuals, visual effects, and upgrade. Okay, no one cares about this. Items, Death's Dance. Healing now works on all damage. So, I was thinking about this, and I guess Graves has a smoke screen. All damage dealt, so I guess that affects true damage, I'm assuming. So you get a 15% heal on Darius's ult, even true damage, I guess. So this is really big for Conqueror users. It's good for Darius. Graves, I mean, he has a smoke screen, but he does not care about that, especially because of the 5% per target for area of effect abilities. What's another champion that can end up using this? I guess Shadowcane can maybe build this, but Shadowcane just wants to assassinate you, so it's not going to matter anyway. Alawi is a champion that ends up building this. I guess AP Kaisa is a champion that can end up building this. This is good for mid lane Pyke. Trying to think what else. This is good for hybrid Ezreal, I guess. Maybe it's good on like Kale or something. I'm not entirely sure there. Corki is probably another good champion with this. So I mean, you basically just gotta look at it like that. Oh, I guess Fiora. Fiora is gonna like this. So this is actually a really interesting change to Death's Dance. Eye of the Herald can no longer be activated during combat with non-minions. Doesn't matter. Removed Poacher's Dirk. This is actually really sad. This was basically entirely a solo queue item, but there was definitely a lot of opportunities where you could definitely squeeze it in without really compromising your build. So it's really sad to see it go. They did this to Banner of Command, and I think that's really sad. Banner of Command was an excellent item, and everyone had a lot of fun when it was in the game. So base damage 40 to 80, level 1 to 18 to 20 to 60, level 1 to 18. Oh, I thought the oh, okay, this is the patch 8.23 mid balance update. So they're hitting it even further. Damage per soul 8 to 5, ARAM damage per soul 4 to 2. So this is really sad, because what this ends up meaning is that only select champions are now going to take it. This ended up becoming the rune that if you used to take Electrocute or Aerie, you would basically default now to Dark Harvest, unless your name was Pantheon, in which case you take Aftershock. But with these type of changes and the gutting of the damage being so big and the requirements to proc it, especially in competitive, it's going to be a lot more situational. And I think what this will end up doing is further incentivize champions to go off of it. So it's really sad Riot is nerfing Dark Harvest as hard as they are. So, I think that makes sense. Anyways, Dead Harvest. Jungle, Merkwolf, and Raptor spawn time, 129 to 130. First Raptor spawn, 128 to 130. Interesting fact. So, I mentioned earlier something about Smite Alawi in mid. If you do not get the 3 tentacles on Wraiths, you can end up missing the first 3 melee minions. Now, I think Aatrox is going to likely be slower, so I mean, if you mess up the damage on your mid smite champion, or if you end up getting messed with by the opposing team, these type of changes will actually definitely have an impact, especially because the Raptor spawn is being increased by 2 seconds. So this is very unfortunate. Kayn is also a champion that Twitch chat is crying about. Non-summoners Rift mode, nope. Extra champion interactions, okay, great. Rank placement, see your rank after just 1 game. Placement sucked. Deposit 10 games into the anxiety box and hope for the best. We fixed that. Just 1. See provisional ranking after just 1 rank game. It's only visible to you until your placements are complete. In your remaining placement games, you'll earn bonus LP and wins, and you can't lose LP. Unlock. After your placement games, your rank will be available to all to see. That's really cool. There's no reset during preseason, so you'll need to be unranked in a queue to try new placements before season starts. What? Oh, yeah, okay. Bottoms up, Iron tier added below Bronze, Grandmaster tier added between Master and Challenger, Division 5 removed from all tiers. All players in Division 5 moved to Division 4. As part of preseason testing for Grandmaster promotions, all players in Master and above will be set to Master 0p. Okay, ranked armor. A new reward now reflects your current rank across your profile, hover card, game lobby, and loading screen. That's cool. Ranked UI, awesome. Bug fixes, no one cares. Upcoming skins. Let's take a peek. This is my favorite part. This reminds me of Saberwolf from Killer Instinct, so I think that's a pretty cool skin. This makes me feel very uncomfortable. This reminds me of if the Beast from X-Men ended up wearing makeup and thinking that he could actually get with someone. So, unfortunate there. Who is this? Winter Wonder Soraka. I mean, she actually looks like, this is quite human looking. So, you know, I mean, okay. I mean, I guess. I won't tell PETA. Alright, anyways, who's this? Snowman Yi. This is actually a really, really cool skin. I forget what the name of the enemy was. There was some video game where there's like a snowman that kind of looks like this face, and it's really evil, and you have to kill it. I'm looking to see if there's any spoilers or Easter eggs in the skin. I don't think that there is, so... oh god, wait a minute, I'm sorry. There is an Easter egg. That guy looks like he's falling. It's all the bronze people. They're going into iron. Alright, oh. Hextech Renekton. Okay, cool. KDA Akali. Oh, baby, the final boss is finally here. TF Blade gonna get to selling a lot of skins. Chromas, but, you know, these chromas, I mean, you can purchase them in the store, but if you want the League Partnership Program chromas, you can come to my stream anytime you want, where I will occasionally give them out to random viewers in chat. Just throwing that out there. Okay, thank you, Riot Games. Anyways, recapping one quick time. Nico's numbers are definitely there. Aatrox, not really affected by this too much. Akali, it's a complete joke. Camille, also not affected. Galio, aggressive Galio is going to be more beneficial. Aggro Galio team compositions and competitive are going to be buffed. Solo queue Galio is going to be buffed. Defensive Galio team compositions are completely gutted and nerfed, at least for the reasons that you would pick Galio. Heimerdinger, don't care. Alawi, really big buff to top and mid lane Alawi. Aurelia change, I think, came too soon. Jax change does not actually matter if you're competent. Leblanc change, I think, is actually one of the most balanced changes that they made in recent patches. Viktor change is a complete joke, and I don't think that we'll actually end up seeing Viktor ever return to his former glory unless we get some sort of an overhaul with itemization or something ends up being done to his hex core. Maybe if they put his hex core back down to 1,000 gold, even then I actually don't think that that's enough to make him come back. I think that he has other problems that are going to persist, and I think that this is probably going to be the final nail in the coffin for blind picking Viktor. I think that Viktor is still going to be able to be picked as a counter pick in top lane, but he's no longer going to be a blind pick menace, and he's also no longer going to require eating a ban. The Death Dance change is really cool. Get your hands on that if you're a champion that can make use of it. Poacher's Dirk, you didn't buy that anyway. Dead Harvest, and that pretty much wraps up the patch rundown.